What's up, everybody? As a lot of you probably know by now, I recently finished my programming project, my final project for advanced Java programming, and it's probably the most comprehensive and complicated piece of work I've ever done in Java. I still consider myself to be pretty much a newbie at it, and but hey, it works. So I'm going to toot my horn about it a little, and this is just going to be a quick overview, non-technical, just to show you what the program does, and there will be a video coming shortly that breaks down the actual code. So let's get to it. Okay, what we're looking at here is the NetBeans integrated development environment. It's nothing that we need to concern ourselves with now, since this is a non-technical overview, but this is the environment that I use to write the code. As you can see, here's some import statements and some notations, headers, and whatnot. Until the complete setup package is put together, the program only runs successfully through the IDE. So that's what I'm going to do right now in order to get the ball rolling here. Okay, this is the first window that you see. In the code, the way that it's written, the first function of the program is to connect to a database. And I've built in the feature that allows you to choose, or the user, to choose the database to which they want to connect. So we'll go to the database done for this particular program. All right, and there it is. There's the database. You're supposed to be able to double click it. I'll just use the open button. All right. Welcome to Honest John's. All right, and here's the main GUI window, or the graphical window that the user uses to interface with the program. A couple things. Here are the buttons. As you can see, I used icons to substitute for the typical text that would otherwise indicate what that button does. A green light with Go written on it, I think, is pretty self-explanatory, but the program, one of the parameters of the assignment is that it had to be written to be, I guess, dummy-proof as much as possible. We had to assume that the user could easily be confused and couldn't understand the obvious. So a few of the features that I built into the code, as you can see, as I mouse over the Go button, you see Search Now appears, which is a tooltip common in most programs. And I've added one for each button, each checkbox. Apparently I did not add one for the text fields. But I did add one for the Select All button, and even the text area where the search results appear. To add further dummy-proof redundancy to it, I added the option down here. This is to clear the form and reset it for the next query. I've also added an edit menu, which has the same option. Down here, the common symbol for help, which is what this button is for. I've added a help menu, and it shows you the help file and a little information about it, which is also common in a lot of programs. And in the file menu, I added an exit option. There's not really a great need for a lot of options in these menus, but I added them because I've never added them to anything. Never had a use for them in any previous programs that I've done. And so to query the database, now that we're connected to it, you can select any of these attributes separately. If I wanted to query just by make, model, and year, I could just leave these 3 active, write in what I wanted to query by, and it would it would concatenate an SQL query and send it to the database and return the results. Or I can select all of them with one click of the button, and then deselect them or press the reset button as I see fit. So let's say we want to search for something good here. Let's do Nissan. And then, as you can see, we got 3 search records back for a Versa, a Frontier, and a Juke, which I erroneously misspelled when I added it to the database. We can then reset the form. If we just wanted to search by model, we could search for a Versa. And there it is. Let's say we only wanted Fords from 1987. We type in Ford and 1987. Now, that seems like a very arbitrary and specific query to send to a database. Keep in mind, this database is not all inclusive. I added records that would meet specific queries just for the purpose of testing out the functionality of the program. So I know that there is at least one 1987 Ford Pinto in this database, and we're going to search for it. I also know that there are multiple Fords in this database. All right. And to demonstrate that, see, there's our Ford. Oh, okay, it's an 86 Pinto. That's probably why the previous query didn't return anything. So we have 3 Fords, but if I wanted a Ford and I wanted to specify the model, I could do Pinto. But it's not impressive unless there's more than one model from the same manufacturer. So we can query the entire database just by leaving everything blank and pressing the go button. And there's everything that we have to search from. And due to time constraints, I wasn't able to apply any kind of search out or sorting algorithm to the data. So they're sorted by the record number of the database. It's just a straight line by line read of the database and presented as that. And the database isn't sorted, so we see it exactly how it is in the database. All right, so the file menu and the stop button are both functional exit operations, which will show, or they will both close the program. And since it's a pretty lengthy process to get back into it, and I've already done it several hundred times at least, I'm not going to demonstrate that just yet, but I'll show you the help menu. It's not really a menu. Here we have the steps on how to use the form in an effort to fulfill the parameter of being dummy-proof. This originally was hard-coded into the program, but one of the goals of good software engineering is to make the program easily updatable and assume that the people updating your program won't know as much about it as you. So what I did was, originally all this was hard-coded in. I wrote a few extra lines of code, and all this is now read from a regular Notepad file. So if this ever needs to be updated, all anyone has to do is update the Notepad file. They don't actually have to mess with any code or anything like that. And then just put in some generic information, the time frame that it took me to make this, and what it was for. All right, and now we can either go exit the program via the exit menu or the stop button. But before we do that, let's take a look at the database that it's reading from. All right, here's the database table that my program reads from in... oh, there is a second Pinto on there. I just didn't put Ford in for it. And it's an 87, just like I originally asked for. This is just a one-table database. It's not even really a database. It's just a table. An actual database is a series of tables, each harboring information in a different context. So just for the purpose of giving us something to do for an assignment, this simple table was created. But the premise is pretty much still the same. The actual querying language, SQL, that is used to run a database query can be applied to multiple tables in the same query statement. So it's not that much different, and I'll go over some of the SQL that was used to query this database and to update it when I do the code breakdown. So that's the database. And that's the GUI, which I'm now closing out of. And that's all I have for now. I hope you found it to be a little educational, even if programming really isn't your thing. But like I said, I was really proud of what I had accomplished with this program. It's by far the most involved piece of programming work I've ever done, and it's only going to get harder from this point forward. So don't worry, I'm not going to do one of these videos for every program I do henceforth. So take care, and I hope you enjoyed it.